Okay, so again, just looking at the system, the first question we had was, okay, now if I3 is in this direction, in what direction does the inductor exert its EMF? Well, that wasn't quite the right question, because I3 has no effect on the inductor. It's the rate of change of I3. Okay, now the I3 function has its effect, okay, but we don't know what the function is. We don't even know if this is a realistic set of values, okay? But what we do know, of course, is that di3 dt is given, so that we can calculate the EMF of the inductor. And then the question is, what's the orientation of this? Well, that depends on whether you think I3 is positive or negative, and more particularly, in whether you think di3 is positive, di3 dt is positive or negative, and that depends on how you decide to orient things. Okay, because as we saw last time, I'm just giving you basically magnitudes. Now, if you assume that this is the positive direction for I3, then di3 dt is going to be in this direction, so that the EMF will be opposing, and I should have had a negative there too. Anyhow, the EMF will be opposing that rate of change, so that if I3 is in this direction, or if di3 dt is in this direction, then you're going to have positive here and negative here, and your LDI dt is going to be a voltage drop. Okay? That makes sense?
Yes.
And that's what you had, but that's how we reason it. Now, the other thing you should understand is you don't really have to think about loops at all yet. Reason being that the EMF is the same across all three. Okay? Now, if I start throwing an EMF function in here, well, the EMF is still going to be the same across all three, until I put a resistor like here, and or here, and or here. And then you're going to have current through that resistor that creates part of the voltage change, right? So if I have a resistor here, but none here or here, then I'm going to have a voltage drop here. Now these two will still be experiencing the same voltage, okay? But if I then put one here and here, then the voltages across all three of these are going to be different. And if I add one here, then the voltage across here is no longer the EMF, and everything starts changing, and it gets much more complicated, to the point where eventually it gets hard to reason out what's going on, and that's when you give up and set up the loop equations and the system of differential equations and solve, okay? So anyhow, that's kind of where we are. So let's see what your numbers are.